All right, so here comes Mark Schlabach, old Georgia beat reporter for the AJC, who's come out with his top 25 way too early. And of course, Mark is at ESPN. I just like to talk about the good old days when he was around a lot more. He's got the Dogs at number one. This is sort of a not abnormal thing that you do when a team wins a national championship and returns a lot of players. Georgia's doing that. Here's one thing that Mark said about the Dogs. He said after winning the first national championship in 41 years in 2021 and losing 15 starters to the NFL draft, the Bulldogs did even better by winning an SEC championship and finishing unbeaten. The personnel losses shouldn't quite be as heavy this offseason, and another top three recruiting class will provide help. Sophomore Carson Beck will be the top contender to replace Stetson Bennett, who went from unheralded walk-on to one of the most celebrated players in school history. Brock Bowers, who had 56 catches for 790 yards and 6 touchdowns entering Monday's game, returns to give Beck a big target. Mark goes on to talk about that Georgia's non-conference schedule is pretty bad. There's not much that the Dogs could do with that, considering the situation with Oklahoma and the SEC canceling that game. But he's not wrong about that. So if there is margin for error, Georgia's not going to be given the benefit of the doubt on that. I got to say, though, after winning the two national championships in a row, I think all of the benefit of the doubt Georgia needs is already there. So that's not going to be an issue for Georgia. But anyway, Mark's got Georgia at number one, and then he goes Ohio State, Michigan at three, and says that Michigan will fall if Jim Harbaugh doesn't stick around. It looks like he's going to stick around right now. Uh, the one team for me that Mark has relatively high, and I was not expecting this, was Florida State. He's got the Noles at four, which is where he had Texas A&M last year. So Alabama at five, Penn State at six, SC at seven, LSU at eight, Oregon at nine, and Tennessee at 10. No Clemson in the top 10. Tennessee is in the top 10. LSU returns to the top 10. SC returns to the top 10. So it is kind of, I'm not sure I'd have Penn State knocking on the door of a national championship. I do not believe in James Franklin in any way. We'll kind of look at the rest of the top 25. I mean, which of these teams could be good and we don't know it? Iowa, he's at 25. James Madison, who had a good season last year in the Sun Belt. I don't rank teams like that in the top 25 because they're not good. Texas Tech at 23, UTSA, who has had a solid run. I do not rank teams like that in the top 25. He's got him at 22. Carolina at 21. So Tar Heels trying to. North Carolina shouldn't have 5 losses in a season. Ole Miss, I got to see it to believe it. They were at 20 this year. He's got Tulane at 19. Tulane had a heck of a year, y'all. That win over SC was impressive. Kansas State, a gritty bunch at 18. Oregon State at 17. Texas at 16. Clemson at 15. That's a long way down from where they're used to. Notre Dame at 14. I think a lot of people will pick Notre Dame as a fashionable team to watch. Utah, I love Utah. They're tough. They fight. TCU at 12. And then UW at 11. He does not have the South Carolina Gamecocks in his top 25, which is a little bit curious because I think there are going to be some teams that some people that swear to whatever God they believe in that Carolina's going to be in there. If you pick up dog structure, excuse me, double dogs, we still have dog structure and it's still out there, right? Double Dogs is being written and put together right now. If you're a Georgia fan, you're going to want this for your bookshelf. It is going to have details and insight that you're not going to get anywhere else. Folks write books, they're not at all the games. We're at all the games. That's why we've got confetti, right? If you want to get double dogs, if you get double dogs, you'll get confetti, but you got to order now. When I run out of confetti, I run out of confetti, and everybody that's already ordered, they're getting it too. So I've got a limited supply of that. The first orders of these will go out sometime in mid-February, maybe early. I will just see, but pick up Double Dogs today. It's going to have a lot of stuff that you're not going to be able to read anywhere. I'm not putting this stuff online. So pick up Double Dogs today. It's an awesome opportunity to add to your collection. Obviously, we've had Dogstruction out and about for a while. Thank you to everyone who's ordered that. If you've not ordered Double Dogs, and I know you haven't yet, not everyone at least, need to pick it up today. The link is down below. Um, I don't mind Georgia at 1 coming into this thing. I don't. I am skeptical they will win the national championship in 2023. The Florida State one jumps out to me more than anything because, Alabama at 5, maybe that's right. There's some changes there. But Florida State at 5 versus Clemson being at 15, we're used to those things being swapped. Um, I like that Mark is not falling for the bait at Texas. Um, I also am curious to see what happens at USC and LSU, Oregon as well. I mean, I think that if you're an LSU fan and you are coming into a second season, often that's when you see the most growth from programs. We're going to see if that's the case with LSU this year. The Tigers are, uh, I have a lot of admiration for LSU because of their ability to get kids, et cetera. They have the most passionate fans um, east of Georgia's, west of Georgia's, um, and they are the real deal. That program should win in a big way. But beating Alabama once in a non in a non-national championship situation is not going to be good enough. I mean, Brian Kelly went there to win national championship. He could have done what he did last year, going 10-4 and wiping the floor with a couple of teams. He could have done that at Notre Dame. Um, so I think they're definitely one to watch in my view. They do play. They open at Florida State. Excuse me, at in Orlando against the Noles, and they got to go to State, Ole Miss, Mizzou, and Alabama. Missouri is not a concern. Should not be a concern. Although the last time they played at Missouri, they lost. USC, we'll just see. But for Georgia coming into this 24-23 season, excuse me, it's going to be the beginning of the schedule is so irrelevant in many ways that to me that's one thing that is a little bit concerning about where we're at coming into 23. You open with Tennessee Martin, and then you host Ball State. It's just not a great schedule, and I think they're kind of running out of time to do something about it. It's already middle January, but the opener is not great. The first 4 games, you got UT Martin, Ball State. You host South Carolina, which I swear to God, people are going to pick them to beat Georgia, and they might do it to pick them in the East. Then they host, UAB, and then they'll travel to Auburn, and we're going to see, what Auburn's up to. But Georgia should certainly roll into Jacksonville undefeated. Um, and to you got 5 home games before October, before the World Series starts. That's a lot. The game that jumps out the most is at Tennessee. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I will believe Ole Miss beating Georgia when I see it. Jacksonville, the Gators are going to have to be a lot better than they were this year to beat the Dogs. It's clearly the Tennessee game to me. What we don't know about the Vols is, was that a one season thing? I mean, to me, I don't think it is. I think they are a legitimate program. I think they look good. I think, I think that Tennessee is building, has built a program that is good enough to win a major bowl game. We do not see that all the time. But For me, it's still they're a long way away from where Georgia is at, and I think that's the challenging part for them is um, can you uh, can you build the way that Georgia has with Georgia in the league? I don't know, but look, this is an interesting top 25 from Mark. I don't think that, and when people say interesting, I think that it is. This is interesting. I mean, I think it's right. I don't know that I would put anybody in front of Georgia yet. I mean, Ohio State's got to replace a quarterback just like Georgia does. Michigan does not, but they seem to lose big games when they really don't need to. Alabama's got to replace a lot. Will Anderson, Bryce Young, Gibbs, Toa. I mean, they've got some guys they've got to replace. Um, Caleb Downs coming in will be a big deal for Alabama, but it is the Florida State, seeing Florida State that's the part that's interesting to me. Thanks for watching. Pick up Double Dogs today.